Why don't we go ahead and get started? Everybody ready to go? Go. Okay. The second item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Has everybody had a chance to take a look at the agenda for our executive committee meeting?
Move approval.
Here we have a motion. Do we have a second? Okay, second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, approval of prior meeting minutes. Has everyone had a chance to look at the minutes? You have?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? What? Can't think of that.
Actually, I just realized unless I'm mistaken, I was at that meeting because then I chaired the committee meeting. I'm pretty sure I was.
Thanks.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye. Opposed? Okay. Okay. Brian, you want to update us Medicaid reform developers?
Well, that shouldn't take long. In your packet is a pretty good article on the LOC meeting this week that drew a lot of attention. It's in the regular board packet. If you haven't seen that, we get bombarded with these things, so it's hard to know how far and wide they travel. But take a minute and look at that. It really tells a pretty good story of what happened. If you want me to spoil the plot for you, it's kind of a big showdown between Heiss and Dollar, and Nelson carried the day with a lot of support around, I think especially the issue of, and I hesitate to say this because, I have what amounts to almost a transcript of a meeting, and we have a great service, one of our consultants that provides us with that, and Heiss was, explaining that their language, wasn't trying to completely provide for, commercial managed care to come in. They weren't trying to blow up MCOs, so, he's refuting a lot of what you kind of see in the paper. So, I wasn't there, I just read what I see, and then I see almost the verbatim transcript of the meeting. So, and of course, the media loves to fashion these as a big, pissing match, if you'll pardon the term. So the extent to which it was that, I'm not sure, but it got a lot of attention. The part that was so interesting for us is to look at, Heiss's comment, I think, in the end of that article, and talking about the ACOs and the MCOs. Well, who do you think he's talking about? Talking about us. And I know, I heard this from third sources that, how could I put this, represent other, clients, lobbyists that have, their clients who I would almost say are is jealous the right word, envious. They, came up and sat in Finders and said, you guys are really doing the right thing. And people are, the right people are talking well about it. And then, you don't get that every day. You don't get that every day. So that's very encouraging. And then if you look at the actual, kind of some excerpts here from the LOC meeting, and it's the highlighted stuff. The first one here, this page, yeah, you got it. this regional access to care is, that's a lot of our language there. From Nelson. Just really good to see. And the question and answer, there you look at Heiss's comments again, which were, I think, what got picked up in the newspaper, online WRAL story, very, very similar to that. We aren't scheduled to see Heiss until January. But again, I've been told draft date, he's pretty aware of what we're doing and is speaking finally of it, and I guess this would be consistent with that, so. This is, I think on the one hand, resonates with people in the, boy, this makes sense, camp is good, and then politically that we seem to be getting a positive response in those efforts is great. And have a meeting Monday with Dave, Matt McKillop, Chief of Staff, and I believe Robin Cummings will be there, as well as Bob Atlas, who's the DHHS consultant on Medicaid. So we'll see how substantive an agenda we can create with that meeting Monday. It's really, hopefully a time where we can get some stakes in the ground around where we are and some key features. And anymore, the way I talk about this with folks, I had a chance to go to a really good meeting yesterday. The Winchon, North Carolina Health Hospital Association, something like a hospital network. And it's kind of a lot of hospitals are in it, some aren't in our catchment area. But anyway, it's a pretty substantial group. They've been around for a while. And went to it's actually their board meeting. And Mark Malloy wasn't able to make it, and he asked me if I could go and kind of help with the discussion. And Jeff was there too, Jeff Hack, which worked out real well. And the way I talked about this for them, rather than try to sell something per se, is I drew 3 lines on the whiteboard, and the first line is financial risk. And way over out to the right is full capitation. And there's all kinds of places in between, and you see, in different language that the House has had, and even the governor, shared risk and shared profit and all of these permutations on that, which I have to tell you, I don't, really understand, but that's okay. Everybody gets the idea, and it's littered in everything you read. There has to be cost control on the healthcare side. And, it isn't going to be capitation probably right off the bat, but that's where you try to get to. Second line is flexibility, and what I call the managed care tools. If you're going to assume that amount of risk, wherever you're going to be on that number line, that arrow, around financial risk, well, you can't do that without some tools. Just as we have various tools with a closed network and rate setting authority, mandatory eligibility, all of those features are just part of the equation when you accept risk. And then the third line is, and I haven't come up with a perfect name for this, but I guess it's the authority or the statute or CMS or something. In doing, wherever you put the mark on financial risk and wherever you put the mark on the flexibility line, you got to get, you're going to be breaking some rules. You're going to be waiving some rules, okay? And the ways that can be done range from adding things, and again, if Tara were here, she could give you a much better technical discussion of this, but things can be added to the 1915 BC. There can be state plan amendments. And then you can go all the way over to the right again, and you can go to 1115, which has the maximum amount of flexibility by design. It's a demonstration waiver, and states use it to do things, sometimes for narrow populations or for narrow strata of services, just testing ideas, really. Or they can do it more broadly. And there's, I don't know, something like 30 states, I think, that have 1115 waivers in some way, shape, or manner. And if anybody's ever interested, we could share that list with you. So that's the framework to understand, to have the conversation. Now, where we end up on all of that, I mean, we know where we are. We're all the way to the right. I wish we had more flexibility. We're somewhere on that flexibility line, and we're running the 1915 BC. Whatever else we would do, it would be additive to that waiver. We're not talking about taking that waiver away. So that's it in a nutshell. That lynching group, I think there's some great follow-up to that there will be with creating some dialogue with them and hopefully getting them behind this in as a group. I'm going to tell you, and I'll do this in front of the whole board. Mark Malloy is, thank God, Ron Paul has hired him, and he is a great asset to not only Mission, but to Western North Carolina. And this wouldn't be happening without his help, and I feel like, he and I are a good team going at this, and so far so good. What is it, what's the Gandhi saying? We are not exactly out of the woods. And whenever you come up with a good idea, guess what? People are going to hate it, and they're going to fight it. But how does it go? They laugh at you, they fight you, and then you win. Something like that. So
Was Gene Quayle at the meeting that you went to?
I don't think he's, and again, this is their board of directors, it's not their full membership. No, he's not there. I don't know that he's a member. I could look it up. So, who is, let's see, through the County Commissioners Association, you have lobbyists. We did speak, Ronnie was very, just great in supporting us, and one of the trips we made to Raleigh, we did speak with their new executive director and their policy people, and had a really good meeting with them, and I know they're doing their bit to support us. I'm just trying to think through who else may have lobbyists that can continue to support, the effort, because now it's going to be, full tilt politics. And we keep covering the bases. We'll probably circle on over and see some key staff people in the General Assembly on Monday too. So, we have these three. It's really an interesting thing. We have these three parties to work with. We've got DHHS, we got the House, and we got the Senate. And I don't know, how many votes do you need in all of that? How does that work exactly? Anyway, otherwise, what's going on with Medicaid reform? Well, you see the newspaper article and you see this, and this is really the latest. I think with, people have been asking about, DNA and where they'll end up, I think that probably the compromise position will be some kind of board. And how that board will then relate to, who supervises who, what, how does that work, I don't know. I think they would remain, part of DHHS, but still have a board that oversaw them, something like that, which seems kind of, awkward, but I think there's probably something in that that'll fly. a lot of reservation about the membership of that and how that would be selected, of course, and the extent to which they would be individuals with experience, versus something else. Yeah, I don't know. That'll probably be a big one. What else?
There's no interest on the House side to do anything different.
When we left a meeting with a very important House General Assembly member, we did confirm that our approach is consistent with theirs and would be, in legislation, it would be offered very early in the session that our effort would be consistent with that legislation. Now, mind you, that's the hurdle here is getting legislation. We got to put those X's on those lines and then figure out the legislation we have to do this. So there. What are you hearing, Andy? Anything good? You traveling some?
Nothing different than what you said. I've been here, there may likely be some located change, some format, but nothing different than what you said. I was sitting there thinking, I'm sure Ronnie's thought about that. If I think about the proposed legislative language, the County Commissioners Association on mental health, is that about no changes? We gotta figure how we make the point, this kind of model is within that context. But we'll just find it out. Carries, stabilize the system, don't make additional changes. Something like that. I could be wrong.
Their goals.
Yeah, something broadly.
It is. And then, the task force that the association has is we're looking at more on the local level, trying to make connections, make connections. And that'll be on December 2nd, and I was really surprised how disconnected all of those, some of them were about it. So, my 2 cents. So. Okay. You ready to move on? Status of the County Commissioner Advisory Board, Michael or Shelley?
Should I let you?
Okay, well, we had a meeting probably about a month ago now, where we had a really nice opportunity to help the participants sort of get the big picture of how Smoky is funded, how the service system looks both by region, and then actually giving them some information on the people that we serve in each county. Something that they had sort of been asking for, and really we felt like the best way to give them this information was sort of as a group so that they could hear the same thing. Brian did a presentation where he really went through all the issues related to how we're funded, both with Medicaid, state, and local dollars, how those funds have been used, sort of our goals in the service system, and I think that we had very good attendance, and I think that people, I actually got some calls back on some of these issues, so I think people really took the information and reviewed it and used it. As you know, because of the elections, we're now in the cycle of having lost some members who have been designated and will be getting new members. We have reached out to all the county managers to determine if they are going to continue to have their existing member, if they're still on board of commissioners, or if there's going to be a new appointee. And then also, again, reached out to those who we know there will be a new appointee. We're probably about halfway through hearing back from counties. Most times the boards and commissions look at establishing their executive structure and make assignments into different committees. Their first meeting usually in December. So we have a few that will probably be January before we hear they're not meeting because of the holidays. One thing that came up you know, we always try to avoid Wednesdays, and we get people that want to come Friday night for a meeting, even if it's just once a quarter. So we actually identified one before Tuesday of each month that we could meet. So we'll be sending out that proposed new meeting calendar. Again, they'll be meeting quarterly. Their next meeting is February. So you're good with it. So she'll watch us out for you. She doesn't let me schedule it.
Or I'm told.
So, I mean, Michael, did you want to have, say anything about the meeting or the presentation, or?
Good job. And, I want to thank Brian and Shelley for their work pulling that meeting together and presentation. They did. It's very good.
The finance provider network, we had a pretty big group of people working on pulling it together, and it was a great exercise for us to go through. I think it's something that we have to be able to repeat, you know, at regular intervals, because that was a point in time, and we want to be able to continue to provide that information. As soon as we have our new membership designated, I'll probably be talking with them and doing orientation, and we save the packet, so I can go over that with new members, so they would have an idea of where, you know, what we discussed at the last meeting, and they can see that information.
Okay, anything else before we go into closed session? Okay, at this time, we need to go into closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143, 318, 11A3, to prevent disclosure of information that is privileged or confidential pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 122C, 126.1, are not considered a public record within the meaning of Chapter 132 of the General Statutes. Please don't ask me. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Is there a motion to adjourn the executive meeting?
So good.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, meeting is adjourned. It's too easy.